Okay.
So you look at the edge of the leaf and it has a phosphor area, and then on the bottom you have its like lungs, and the lungs take in CO2 and then breathe out like O2. So then if you look into the phosphor area, you have your phosphor cells, and then on the edges of your phosphor cells is where all your chloroplasts are, because the vacuole is so full with water that it like expands and pushes the chloroplasts to the edges of the cell, which is good because then it's easier for them to get sunlight. But then if you zoom into that, then you get the chloroplast, and it has an inner and outer membrane, which also and it contains like the whole thing inside is stroma, and then they also have like little discs that are called thylakoids, and if you stack all of them, those are called granum, and then all of them together are called grana, which I don't know why, but then and then you zoom into the thylakoid, and the Calvin cycle is in the stroma, but then the light reactions is in the thylakoid. So then oh my god. So then you have like two different photosystems, which I don't understand, because there's photosystem 1 and photosystem 2, because they found one first, which is the photosystem 1, but then they saw another one and it's like does a little bit different of a thing, so then they call it photosystem 2. But photosystem 2 comes first before photosystem 1, which makes no sense. But then photosystem 2 takes in only 680 nm of sunlight, so then it excites the electrons, and then it excites the neighbor's electrons, and kind of like gradually falls until it finally donates an electron to the one single big phospholipid, which makes a really big electron, and that big electron goes through the transport protein through the phospholipid bilayer to the other photosystem number 1, and then photosystem number 1 takes more sunlight, which is 700 nm, which excites the electrons once again, kind of turns on the phospholipigments. So that's why like they're green, because they reflect the color green and then absorb all the others and what the sunlight gives off. So anyway, then that electron, that electron that carries to the transport protein is needed to make one big full electron, which carries on which is added onto NAP plus, and then if you put the electron on that, it makes it NADPH, which is an electron carrier. But then you also have the transport protein. Why the electron needs to go through is the energy, so the protons can go against its concentration gradient, and so then you have a bunch of really compacted, high concentrated protons inside of the thylakoid space. But then that's why you have your ATP synthase, so then there's enough, there's a little bit of energy that is given off, so then when the protons zip through it, it spins, which gives off a little bit of energy, which makes ADP plus P, which is a floating phosphate, turn into ATP, and then that is brought over to the Calvin cycle. So then in the Calvin cycle you have CO2 that is going in, and then somehow they rearrange themselves to be G3P. No, it's 3PG first, and then they use the electron carrier and the ATP to create G3P, and then once it continues rotating in the Calvin cycle, you lose one of the G3Ps, but then that's okay, because you use a little bit more energy to make a 5-chain of RUBP. This is it's so weird, but then I just you use a little bit of energy to make something else, but then it also make that RUBP, there's only 3 of them, but that makes 9 carbon dioxides left from 18, and that creates rubisco, which is one of the most important proteins that we know in the whole universe. So then that little part that turns 3PG into G3P, when it uses the energy and the electrons, it turns ATP back into ADP plus a phosphate, and then NADP plus, which go back into the light reactions, and it just creates this whole cycle throughout the thylakoid and the stroma. I just
awesome.